Now that the Houston Astros season is finally in the books, we can switch gears and use our favorite analyst, Richard Oliver, to dive in deeper and talk a little Spurs.
All right.
Yes. Spurs basketball season fully underway. They just improved to 5-2 thanks to their 30-point win over the Phoenix Suns on Wednesday. Now they lead the Southwest Division.
Wow.
My first question to you, Richard, how surprising is this 5-2 start, especially considering all the injuries they went through heading into the season?
Well, I think there's a couple of ingredients to that. It is surprising that they're 5-2 because there's certainly an evolution with the roster. When you have 8 new players on your roster, you're going to have trouble. It's surprising in that the Spurs have kind of adapted to what the league has thrown at them. Not only, of course, the trade and everything that they had to do during the offseason, which is the big storyline, but the fact that the league has implemented all these rules, you know, on how you can guard on the periphery and all the different kind of things that are happening that are just sending scores skyrocketing, and of course driving Greg Popovich nuts because nobody can play defense right now, which is what he really wants. But the Spurs have adapted well to that despite the additions to their roster. And, you know, and we've always talked about what a system team this is. The Spurs, who plugs into the round hole and the round peg and the square hole and the square peg and all those kind of different things. And I think of those kind of things when I look at the Spurs roster and think, how are they able to do that? And I think it's because they bought in and they've known right away that that they can play basketball at a high level with the players they have. They've got 3 all-NBA caliber players in their starting lineup. But the other thing, Jill, is that the Spurs, I think the schedule so far has favored them a little bit. The Lakers are struggling. They're trying to find their identity. What do you do with the Suns? I mean, that's a AAA team, you know, and those kind of things. So I think that we'll know more Saturday night when the Pelicans come calling. That's going to be a tough game, and that's going to be a team that, of course, they'll be reckoning with for a while.
What will the Spurs need to do to take care of business against the Pelicans on Saturday? Well,
we're going to see how good they are under the basket now. Back to the basket basketball. This is going to be a little gritty. It's going to be a little tougher because they're going to be playing some pretty spectacular talent. We'll see a little bit how LaMarcus Aldridge is, where he is with his mind going up against Anthony Davis and some of those great players that New Orleans has. And I think, you know, when you look at those kind of things, you think about that's when the system really kicks in. That's when Greg Popovich is preaching. We see where he is with his flock. You know, are they listening to him? Are they going to do what he's wanting them to do? So far, so good. I think the Spurs believe, and I think they certainly believe in DeMar DeRozan.
Oh, no kidding. DeMar DeRozan right now leading the way. Last season with the Raptors, he was averaging just 24 points. Now through 7 games, averaging 28 points, already with 2 double-doubles this season, when last year he didn't have a single one. Why has he been able to be more successful with the Spurs?
Well, and of course, he's 5 30-point games. The Spurs haven't seen that in quite a long time. You know, DeMar DeRozan has a couple of things happening. One is he's found a home quickly in San Antonio. He knows he's welcome here. He knows this is a place where he can make an impact. And I think Greg Popovich, R.C. Buford sat him down and said, "You're the man. You're the one who you do with this what you will." And I think he's come into San Antonio and said, "You know what? I didn't want to get traded." He's still got a burr in his saddle about that. You could tell that that's something, leaving Toronto was not something he wanted to do. And he wants to show people something. You know, he wants to say, look, I'm one of the few people, or I know exactly what I've got in this body. I know what I can do. And, you know, I thought was interesting was he told the Express News the other day about how he knows he's got a finite time. You know, he's got a very philosophical view of playing basketball. He wants to be the best he can be for the amount of time that he can play at this level. The Spurs are benefiting from that. And also he is benefiting as well as a mid-range shooter from, again, those NBA rules. I think they've really freed him up to do some different things this year that he wasn't able to do over the last couple of years.
Well, hopefully for the Spurs, he can continue that momentum, especially going into Saturday night's game against Pelicans. Sports Tonight will be there, have you covered before the game, after the game, everything you need. Richard, thank you so much.
No, my pleasure.